Oh, hello, and welcome to our Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we've got The Man Who Was Always There and Fractalvore. So, for those of you just tuning in, creepypasta are internet short stories that get copied and pasted across the internet. The term eventually became copypasta, and the creepy ones are creepypasta. So, we're just going to dive into this one. You can check them out at creepypasta.wiki. There's no YouTube channel or anything like that has done a reading as far as I can tell. So you just have to read.
Get on that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, get on that internet. And we'll just jump right into this one then. So, The Man Who Was Always There. It starts off, it's a guy who stays up late and wakes up late. He wakes up one afternoon to get his breakfast and gets a call. And it turns out that his grandfather has died. So his family goes to his grandfather's place, which he realizes he's never actually seen, and it's a large estate. They go and just to go there to get his things all in order. And while they're sifting through stuff, they find an old diary full of drawings of a disturbing figure known only as him. And he's in the drawings. He's in different. He's always in the background of scenes. I think one of them is mentioned that they're at a park and he's in the background there, and then he's with him while he's in the trenches, and he's just always there, and he's very prevalent. He's a very disturbing description, apparently a very disturbing appearance. And the drawings get more intricate as you realize that the grandfather's been drawing him since childhood. They find more evidence of him, like these homemade toys, and then photo albums even, with photos of him and stuff. And it's just, kind of unnerving. So the guy, after seeing this, and this is when he's with his mom and his brother at this point, so he decides he's getting a little creeped out, so he goes outside to get some air, and it's really foggy. And while he's outside, he encounters him. He just kind of comes out of the fog. So his first instinct, of course, is to take a photo with his phone, and then he runs and hides behind the shed out back for a little bit, and then realizes his family's still in the house, and the guy wasn't chasing him. So he runs inside to find that his mom is dead on the ground, and his brother is about to be grasped by this him, who then turns around to the guy and starts going for him, essentially. And that's where the story ends. So, the way they describe him is a gray, old-fashioned attire. He wears gray, old-fashioned attire, turn-of-the-century stuff, and a top hat, an old top hat. He's got pale skin, dark eyes and mouth. Very jerky, clockwork robot motions is what's actually mentioned in the story. And that's pretty much his description. There is a photo that comes with this creepypasta, and it's effectively a guy in a ghost man costume, something you'd see at the Haunted Mansion or something like that. Although I didn't the photo actually shows this is supposed to be the photo of that the guy took on his phone, and this guy has is holding a fog machine in his hand. If you look really close, you have to zoom in a bit.
I never zoom in.
Okay, well, either that or it's a leaf blower. But I'm thinking it's a fog machine.
Whatever, either way.
Yeah. But, I liked it. It was a little shorter than I would like. But it was definitely a nice familiarity. We've heard this kind of story before.
Yeah, it was, but you don't get this kind of story too often. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, as I was reading it, I was like, oh, okay, I know how this is going to play out. Because, I've read a story like this or seen a movie like this, a few years ago, not last week.
Yeah.
I was watching TV and I saw the exact same episode of a different, it's a cookie cutter example of it, but I also liked the way it ended, because it ended. You know what? Is he just gonna watch this dude for the rest of his life now?
Yeah.
Like, now that he's killed his family, is he just gonna watch the dude? Or, is the dude dead now too?
Yeah. Actually, something we didn't mention, I didn't mention in the rundown, because it was a really quick rundown, but,
Well, it's a
there,
short
in one of the entries that they find in the journal or whatever is that, no, it's a drawing, one of the final drawings was, like, the day before of his grandfather, just, like, in bed, and the guy's right there, and, like, he's let me live this long, and now he's not doing that, or something like that. And so it kind of like gave me the impression that this hymn is supposed to be like death, or like a reaper almost.
I never got that, but
No, okay. Just because he's been with with his grandfather all his life, and then
a reaper wouldn't be with someone all of their life.
maybe just buying his time. I don't know. Like, I'm just saying
I'm just saying that a reaper's a busy motherfucker.
fair enough. Yeah,
a lot of people die every hour on this spinning orb.
Fair enough. I'm just saying, like, my to that is that, like, the mother was dead on the ground, and then, like, the brother was effectively being, like, just getting grabbed, not even, like, choked. It didn't describe it being choked or anything like that. So it was just getting
I'm
grabbed
not saying it wasn't another worldly entity.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I didn't get a Reaper vibe off of this guy. I just got a otherworldly entity that, for whatever reason took a shine to the narrator's grandfather and, was always there throughout his life, which actually kind of begs the question of why the narrator had, who had spent time with his grandfather throughout his
had
short
never
life,
seen him.
Had never seen Mr. Top Hat.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or Mr. Fog Machine Man.
Yeah, maybe it's like...
I mean, I get it. He does hang out in the background and stuff, but
the description they have and like what he looks like.
He's pretty particular.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're gonna notice that this guy is always there.
Yeah, this weird, peculiar guy who wears century attire and a top hat. And has scraggly hair.
Out with a sore fucking thumb.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe it's like you were saying. He's possibly another worldly being. Maybe it's just like he has the power to like make himself known only to the person he's not stalking, but like following. Again, it's like that's more. It's conjecture with like within the story.
Exactly. So. You have no evidence to support your theory, so
yeah.
Granted, I have no evidence to refute it necessarily, but yeah, it's just I don't know. Like, I didn't hate it. I actually liked the dude in gray with the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the outfit and the costume they had, or not the costume, the look they gave him.
Yeah, it was something that
we
when the grandfather was a kid would have been like almost normal, I dare say. But at the same time would have still stood out just because of the physical characteristics of the dude.
Yeah. Also, if he was carrying that fog machine the whole time. Anachronistic.
And then as, time goes by, he's still sticking out, and he's actually sticking out more and more as,
as time progresses,
as fashion changes, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like the idea that it's an absolutely disturbing concept. The fact that this dude's grandfather lived a normal life is actually fairly remarkable.
Yeah, with having at first what he thinks probably was an imaginary friend, and then it turns out that this guy, like, he's just seeing this guy all the time, and clearly was obsessed with it because he did handcrafted homemade toys of him and like drawings and took photos of him and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like absolutely amazing that his grandfather had such
and apparently had a nice house and stuff like too, because like they were like, we never go to his house. They always like set up prearranged things or to meet elsewhere, or like he'd come over to our house. I never
understood the need for that to be the case. You know what I mean? That does seem super weird.
I actually thought they were going to go somewhere else with that. It was like, okay, well, what's like I don't know where they were expecting to go with that, but for some reason I was thinking they would go something differently because they mentioned that.
Yeah,
but it was just kind of like a red herring.
There was no reason for it.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of it as a good red herring because I was like, I didn't think it had
good.
anything to do with the story, and then when I was proven right, I was like, well, why did you say it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like for this, if I were to just be like, P.S. Audience, my shirt is gray.
Thanks. Thanks, Doctor.
No bearing on the rest of the podcast, but hey, they now know my shirt is gray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what that was, and
there was no
honestly, for a story, for a pasta this short, to have even that much padding just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
like, if you're doing a short, sweet one, keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. We don't... Sometimes, like, I mean, like, again, a second edit of this would probably just tidy up some small things, but...
Or make use of that,
yeah.
Because I feel like there was
like,
some sort of idea that was trying to be used there, but they didn't.
Yeah, like, it just leaves me, like, wondering, it's like, well, was this thing tied to the location? Like, maybe that's what... He never left around his house, but then that makes no sense, because...
He was at the park. He
yeah,
was
and
in the trench. Like...
was he just embarrassed about, like, or were they just like, did he just not want his family to be exposed to it? But then, like, he had a daughter.
Then why did he go to? It's
yeah, it just makes no sense.
Yeah, it just raises more questions than
this story really needs
can
to
answer.
Yeah, or should have to answer, because it is a good story. It's nice, short, and sweet.
Yeah, it doesn't stick around so long that it becomes annoying or anything.
Yeah.
Honestly, didn't really get bothered by, like, I didn't even notice any of the things that we've talked about
Past tense, all that stuff.
All the things we've talked about so far about this story. I didn't even notice them until we started talking about them, because as I was reading the story... It was just, I started, it was over, so before I could even,
realize it, yeah.
Like, before it started having an impression on me, it was over.
Yeah.
Now, that might seem like a negative thing, but honestly, it really just means that it didn't piss me off before I finished with it.
It came in, said hello, and then maybe said a little bit of some small talk, and then was gone.
Exactly. It was.
It's kind of what you want from a creepypasta in most respects. Like, you're just, like, browsing through, like, the wiki, or, like, through any of these YouTube, or no, not YouTube channel, the websites or whatever. Just trying to, like, see what's out there, and then you just happen across this one, and it's just nice, quick, short, and then you're moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem really there is that if you're doing that and you read, 3 different ones before and 2 more after, you are not going to remember this one.
Like you just said,
it's not going to stand out in any regard.
Yeah.
Unless all of the other ones are so complete shite.
So they had to be played.
That this one would, for that reason, stand out just because it's not absolute just shite.
So after you've read Jeff the Killer and Laughing Jack and...
You know what? If you read pastas of that quality and read 6, and this was the best one, and those other ones were Jeff the Killer types and Russian sleep experiment types, I would have to applaud the fortitude of reading 6.
All in one go, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because, if you had made Jeff the Killer my first pasta, I would have... visited physical harm on you.
Fair enough.
I don't know if you would have recovered yet.
So I'm glad that Candle Cove was our first one for this.
Yeah, because at least it was decent.
Yeah. All right. So, would you recommend The Man Who Was Always There?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun little thing. It was,
It wasn't anything super special, but it was a nice, quick read. So
basically, it didn't offend me, and it was enjoyable, and the fact that it was so just quick, and then, it starts, it's over with. Kind of can't not recommend it, just because it's not a negative experience, and worst case scenario, if you feel nothing about this, because I don't think anyone would really hate this.
Yeah.
So if you feel nothing about this, whatever, you wasted 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
You're on the internet. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. The internet, half the internet's time, okay, 75% of the internet, 90% of the internet's time is wasting time.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a good waste of time.
Yeah. All right. And then with that, I guess we will move on to Fractalvore. So with Fractalvore,
Yeah, let's just totally change gears.
Yeah. So for Fractalvore, so this guy's girlfriend has a TV for a head, which he says seems weird, or may seem weird, but apparently everybody's cool with it, and those people that don't, on the street, who are on the street and just kind of stare, she flips the channel to something that will make them look away. And her parents are he doesn't think it's also that weird because her parents are really huge into body modding. So although he can't tell what the which one's the dad and which one's the mom for some reason, which I mean I just assume that like maybe they're also body modders. He just said they're body modders, so obviously they've modded themselves to the point that you can't even distinguish that.
Exactly. This is clearly taking place in some other alternate reality.
Some kind of like future, like cyberpunk thing or something, maybe.
No, alternate reality. Because it can't be written in the future, else how am I reading it now?
It even mentions like something, saying modding doesn't affect the gametes. What the hell's a gamete? that word like confused me. Like, what the hell is that? It's mentioned in that first paragraph. Yeah, I mean, if anybody knows what gamete looks, or what gamete is, comment, favorite, like, subscribe. Or we'll just have Leviathan look it up.
I'm sorry.
Huh. Okay, so it's something to do with cells that fuse with other cells during fertilization.
Yeah, it has
to reproduction and stuff like that. Okay. Interesting. Right. So it's some kind of reproductive thing about. So it's some kind of weird alternate world about like with body modification that's going to the extreme.
Basically, what that sentence is stating is that if I were to be totally body modded, no matter what I look like, I'm still a dude.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm assuming that's what it's saying.
Yeah. It's an interesting little. It kind of gives you a little bit more of the setting, like what's going on.
You know what? I learned something because of this creepypasta, so it's officially provided a better service to mankind than most of the ones we've read, and that's in the first paragraph. Russian sleep experiment.
Yeah. Anywho, so yeah, they're big into body modding, so that they don't see a problem with it or anything like that. And apparently, when they have sex, she gets hotter when someone switches the channels for her. I mean, she likes it when
he
someone pushes her
knobs.
Buttons. But anyway, so he's like the guy usually just switches channels like randomly and stuff. But apparently, this time he's tuning it in to a specific channel, and it pops up, and she gasps. As she realizes what it is, and it's he's installed a camera in the room to record them doing it. But she's at first like she needs to kind of like sleep on that. Like she's not sure if she's comfortable with that. And he really hopes she is. So she decides that she has to sleep on that. So the next day, she says, yeah, she's totally fine with it, and they start doing it and recording themselves, and then watching themselves on her monitor. Like their recordings of it and so that, and then eventually what starts as an exciting new experience for them becomes this just like over the next couple of sentences is just a spiraling of fractal layered recordings like that they're staring at in her monitor. Like they keep like more of them keep popping up on the screen almost like a fractal. And it's just kind of like a sensory overload or like sensory deprivation by the end of the story, because the girlfriend like doesn't talk, or if she is talking, it's covered up by all the like the static or like machine noise from her monitor, and
because there's
so many layers
of them copulating.
Yeah, and by the end of it, like it's like been weeks since he's even been able to understand her, and he doesn't even know what layer he's on, like what layer of the recording he's on. He doesn't even know if he's in the recording or if he's in real life.
So in other words, she can't even talk to him. Isn't that what we all want?
Yeah. And that's
And
where the
yes,
story...
if people can't tell, I was joking on that just to make the obvious joke. Well, sorry.
Yeah. So, and that's really where it ends. Is it's like, what layer am I on? Like, kind of like he's gotten lost in the recordings of the multiple recordings, which at first I was confused by, and then as I started thinking about it, I kind of liked that idea of like somebody getting lost in a fractal, of the same thing that they've been doing over and over again. It's not really a creepy story so much as it's just a weird story.
Yeah,
Like, it's a weird concept. It's a cool, weird concept, like very, like, almost like a future, like a sci-fi concept that somebody has experimented with, but it's not a creepypasta, or it's not a creepy story.
Well, yeah.
It's creepy and...
It's like an episode of...
The Outer Limits?
Actually, that's the one I was going to, because, quite frankly, everyone references... Twilight Zone, so... But yeah, it's like an episode of Outer Limits or Twilight Zone, where it's not necessarily, scary, but at the same time it does kind of fit into that same vein where it's... Really, it just makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, like I said, like I liked it because of the idea of like the concept that the person was going for. I'm not sure if I'd like it as a creepypasta.
I just gotta say, fake.
No, really? What are you talking about? I saw my friend Lewis.
I mean, don't get me wrong, slightly more believable than Russian sleep experiment, but
yeah.
I love being me. I don't know. I think it works really well as a creepypasta, kind of like how a lot of people associate Twilight Zone and Outer Limits with horror.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do.
So,
yeah.
And I honestly don't see this story working in a different venue.
Yeah.
Just because...
Except for maybe if you were to elaborate it, make it an Outer Limits episode. Like...
Well, exactly, but it'd really just be, kind of the same type of venue.
Yeah.
It's just... It's too messed up for...
Other conventional mediums?
Yeah, for a normal place where you might find a typical short story.
Yeah.
Whereas people reading creepypastas, they're already in a mindset of accepting a girlfriend with a TV for a head.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a stretch, but...
It's the same people that believe that there's a tall guy in a suit who has no face that lurks in the woods.
Exactly. It's just kind of...
Or a clown that is an imaginary friend, but also a killer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I understand what you're going with that.
So, yeah, you might say that it might not make a really great creepypasta because it's not terribly creepy, but there's no other place for it.
That's true, yeah.
And again, this one was, delightfully short.
Yeah.
So, although I viewed it as a complete waste of my day, well, not my day, but of the time it took to read.
At the same time, that's kind of what you're getting into.
At the same time, it didn't waste too much time, so I'm a little forgiving.
Yeah. Are you okay, Doctor?
Oh, no, I didn't like this.
Okay.
But I'm not angry at it because...
Like you have been.
Well, because, you know what? Again, it wasted, 3 to 5 minutes of my life.
I know. I was actually surprised when I was recommended this one.
I got to the end of it, and I was just like...
Wow.
So,
let's take a look at what the comments said.
What do I do now?
Yeah.
And it was, I didn't care for it, but that's because I kind of had a hard time wanting to spend my time in a world where people can have a TV for a head.
Yeah.
Because, there's body mod.
Yeah.
And then there is... I've removed a vital body part.
But your consciousness remains intact.
And you can somehow see and intake nutrients and breathe.
There's...
You're asking me to accept a lot, and you are not helping me accept it at all.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
So you
kind of need a head.
Yeah.
this one could do with a little more explaining.
Yeah.
Of, because, like, that's not body mod.
That's...
I
don't know what the hell that is. That's
a vital body part. I mean, without your head, there are so many reasons why you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is almost like... It's almost like... Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like unless there's some kind of something in that monitor that she has that is allowing her to continue with what she had beforehand.
Well, there is nothing.
But it's just mentioned she has a TV for a head.
Now, I would have actually found this one to be a hell of a lot more believable, and I would have been able to put up with it a lot more if she'd had a TV in her chest. It also would have made the whole fondling of fiddling with the channels
a little bit more...
A little bit, more, I see what you did there. Personal opinion.
Yeah.
But it would have solved my biggest problem with this story.
So you'd want her to be a little bit more like a Teletubby?
No, because it would have been...
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I got you. I got you.
Yeah. I'm assuming that even with a TV for a head, she can say more than "tinky winky."
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Well, yeah. It was just a joke. So,
and the whole, spiral into nothingness thing.
Yeah, like weeks go by and they're like...
I was bored with it, honestly.
They didn't... Well, I don't know. I like the idea of
it's gone over very quickly. Yeah, but I'm bored with the idea.
Okay, fair enough.
Exactly. It's
something that is done a lot.
Yeah, it's something that is done a lot. And yeah, with that, I was just like, okay, unless you're gonna, spin it in a different manner, I'm just kind of over you.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as I started seeing what was going on, it's like, okay, I kind of know what's going on now.
Yeah, I just saw the breaks in the paragraphs, and I was just like, so this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So that coupled with the fact that a person has replaced their head with a appliance. Yeah, I was just kind of...
Was it a blender?
Worst BJ ever.
Oh, schmackity schmackity doo. Anyway, I'm going on 2 cups of coffee, dude.
That's your problem.
Yeah. Do we want to address the comments? Because this
is kind of a point that I love making because I'm honestly getting sick of people. I'll let you introduce this comment.
Okay. So, yeah, you finished the story. It's really short, so I automatically went down to the comment section, and this one in particular, primarily their primary good. It's just saying this isn't really creepy, but it's a cool idea. I like it. This one is. This pasta was original, creepy, and surreal. One problem, I didn't like the couldn't tell which one was the mother/father section. As a transgender woman, that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Overall, a good read with a small and easily fixable problem.
Okay.
We will not mention who the poster, but we'll let you...
Someone read way too much into something... Okay, that line of, I couldn't even tell which one was which. That was a line to express...
The whole body modding thing. How weird
into body mod these people are.
Yeah.
And how much of a different society this is, this story takes place in. Because you can have people like that, and, pardon me, for all we know, her dad's a fucking lawyer.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, transgender people are weird. You're honestly just looking for something conflict. To... Exactly. You're trying to pick a fight.
Yeah.
And you know what? You picked the wrong fucking fight to pick because... you're just a cunt. You're being a cunt for the sake of being a cunt. And that's just... It's one of the worst types of people out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, rapists are still tops, but, Jesus Christ, you're just being a jackass for the sake of conflict. And you know what? Take up kickboxing. You'll get lots of conflict.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, keep your damn fool mouth shut. Because, honestly, that line, like, don't get me wrong. People who do have prejudice against transgender people or anyone who's
different.
Exactly. Abnormal.
Yeah.
Not, like, and I mean,
not part of the mainstream
don't give me any flack for using the term abnormal because, let's face it,
there's a lot of us.
I'm using the term properly.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put anyone down with it because, honestly, you know what? I'm sure you're a damn fine individual. But someone like this, okay, this person has pissed me off. This person has angered me. I'm sure that this woman would say, it's because she's transgender and I can't handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like it's an annoyance.
It's something that's constantly coming up, especially in recent years.
Exactly. And I have, like, don't get me wrong, I use the term abnormal and, you know, we have societal norms.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you know what? Body modders don't fit into that. Transgenders technically don't fit into that. I've never known a transgender person. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly,
and
you can still be a good... You can, well...
In certain parts of the world.
I'm familiar with the term. I know that it's... Like, I know that
it's
this
growing.
is a thing that exists.
Thing that's happening. Yeah.
And honestly, this day and age, we do have that sort of global awareness where you can be exposed to things that you never would have been before.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, a lot of people aren't okay with that. But whatever, they can go hang out in Alabama. Yeah, sorry.
And there goes our listeners from Alabama.
But, you know what I mean, like, they can go live in some backwater and I'm fine with that. But when someone's trying to...
Make a story
and did not put this line in with any malice.
Yeah.
Just to express his point, or her point, or whatever.
Yeah. That's the glory of the internet.
For something like that to be taken in such a, you know, like, oh, I've got to make a point here, way.
There was no reason for it.
Exactly.
Like, you were looking for that. Like, when you came into the story, and you were looking for that.
Yeah, or like, you were looking for something. Like, you know, for all we know, the person who wrote this comment isn't actually a transgender woman.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm saying, like, that's the kind of person we're dealing with. Someone who's picking a fight just because, oh, I could pick a fight here. And that's just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like
I think this is the first time we've come across this in the comments, and it has always bugged me, and it's like, you know what? We can all get along.
Yeah. But
we have to all get along.
Yeah.
That includes people who are outside of the norm. You have to understand that, yes, things are outside of the norm.
Yep.
You know, people who are seeing it for the first time, being exposed to it for the first time, you know what? Maybe they aren't going to understand. But if you're calm and, you know, don't get all uppity about it, you can bring understanding to someone.
Yeah.
You can bring them to understanding is probably more a better way to put it. But when you just, like, as a transgender woman, I'm offended by this.
Yeah.
Suck a dick. You know? Because...
Yeah, I mean, we get, like, these kind of comments do tend to happen a lot. Not just in creepypasta, but in any kind of medium. It's like oh, this person... It's like, this game, this franchise has blah, 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 this. Because it's like, they're sexist against women, or like trans, like why is Laura Cross boobs got to be the most prominent thing? It's blah, blah. It's like that kind of thing has been happening for decades.
Exactly. It's just, you know, it's a thing, and it's
not a good thing.
It's pointless.
Like it's just them trying to, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it's like
it defeats
cool
your cause as opposed to helping it.
It's cool that you have this cause, and like all the power to you, because like equality, right? But
Exactly.
don't go like, oh, you shouldn't have this in your story because this is offensive to my liking.
Yeah.
Because I am. It's like I accept I respect your opinion, but at the same time, this person had an opinion too, and had no like, as far as I'm aware. I mean, as far as I know, because we're just reading the story, and there's no context as to like, oh, it's like, oh,
There's
their
no
parents,
malice behind that line.
Exactly, yeah. It was
It's
it was for the flavor of the society that he's built, that he's thrown into his story.
Exactly.
It had nothing to do with like feminist things or like transgender stuff.
It wasn't.
So
it wasn't malicious
No.
in any way, and the fact that this commenter immediately goes on the offensive.
It's almost like they're looking for like, oh, this is going to get me some attention.
Exactly, and you know what? It did, but it got you the wrong kind of attention from me, and quite frankly, I think you're a fucknut.
All right. Now, of course, that's our opinions. Everybody has their own opinions for this. If you don't like it, if you want to rebuttal us or send us hate mail or to Leviathan.
Okay, but honestly, I really don't think that people can disagree with me. They might be able to disagree with how I react.
Yeah.
But I think the point I'm trying to make is a sound one with, it's okay to believe in things. It's okay to, understand the struggle that certain people do definitely have to go through. Because I don't want to belittle that.
No.
And I may have come across that way so far. I don't want to belittle people's struggles because, you know what? There are people who do look at difference differently. But, at the same time, don't pick a fight when someone wasn't picking one.
Exactly.
Like, you know what? If he'd have been like, yeah, her parents were total freaks, couldn't tell which one was which. You know what? That's a malicious line.
In fact, if anything, like, the story does actually help, like people who are different thing, because she's like people. Sometimes people, like, for the most part, people will just not look at us or when we're walking down the street. But when the people do, she'll flick the channel to something that they won't want to look at. Like, it's almost like kind of like an empowering thing, in a way, almost.
Yeah, and I actually, excuse me, I actually think that this story's really good because, you know what? Body modders in our society are like a transgendered person.
Yeah.
They're outside of the norm. And this paints a picture of a society, a little snapshot, if you will, where this is completely normal.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, accepted.
Yeah.
As
for the most part. Yeah.
Exactly. At least accepted a lot more than it is in
our society, right? Oh,
exactly.
In certain parts of our society, yeah.
In most parts of our society right now.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that's a beautiful message, and I honestly wish the woman in the comments had have picked up on that message.
Yeah, and not
as opposed to reading far too into one single sentence.
Yeah.
Because that's a great message of, you know what? This is something that we can all strive for, to be accepting of other
walks of life,
other lifestyles, anything, and because that's what I took from this.
Yeah,
was that well, first off, I didn't really care for the story, but
for a story that literally starts off with "my girlfriend has a TV for a head."
But
then it explains a little bit about.
But it's relatively normal
because body modding is a thing in my world.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I'm gonna get back off my soapbox because I don't think I can say anything that I haven't already said today. So that's me. Moral of everything I was trying to say, in case it's still confused, is why can't we all just get along?
Yeah. Well said, Doctor.
In a roundabout manner, that's what I was trying to say.
Okay. I was about to say, and now to fill out, would you recommend this one for a pasta for other people to read? Because I know you said you didn't like the story, but
I didn't like it. But there is kind of that whole Outer Limits Twilight Zone niche. And you know what? If you like Twilight Zone, if you like Outer Limits, And this story is short, so if it's a total waste of time, it's a short total waste of time. You know, like, if that's how you feel about it when you're done. But I would say if you like that kind of show, read it. If not, you might as well still read it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like it, but it was a good version of, it's a good specimen of what it is.
Yeah.
So I would say yes, read it.
Okay.
I mean, except for the whole TV for a head, there's nothing glaringly wrong with it.
Yeah. Again, yeah. It's just, that was just kind of like threw you up. But anyway, yeah. Alright, so, I'll recommend it as well. And of course, this is all our opinion. Everyone has their own opinion, like I mentioned earlier.
You mean I'm opinionated?
I know, it's weird, right?
I've never heard anyone use that word to describe me before.
So if you have a comment about what we've said today, if you agree, if you disagree, if you're like completely pissed off at Leviathan or myself,
I like how you just volunteer me for going onto the bus.
Fuck you under the bus. You can send us a message in the comment section below wherever this gets posted, either on YouTube or on Kiwi6 or the Tumblr site. You can send us a message through Twitter. I'm at Review Cultist. I believe the doctor is at Dr. Leviathan on Twitter. You can we're on iTunes as well, so you can send us a review. Let us know how we're doing. And
you've got the email.
And if you like using older types of internet communication, you can use the email system at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com, where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show.
I mean, hey, at least we're not using MySpace.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So, until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
And I've been your opinionated motherfucker, Dr. Leviathan.
And this has been El Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.